All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's about 2 p.m. Eastern, so we'll go ahead and get started. Before we get started, I did want to start by letting anybody know who's on the call today that this is going to be recorded and will be made available via the ISGSolutions.com website sometime later on this week, I suspect. So if you miss anything, don't feel like you're never going to have another chance. We'll be doing this webinar again next month, and like I said, today's presentation will be recorded and put on our website. In addition to that, if you have any questions, there is the Q&A interface that is on our Zoom webinar system. So please feel free as I go through the presentation today to enter any questions into that interface. And then at the end of the presentation, I'll start by going through questions that were submitted that way. And then I'll open it up for any other questions that anyone may have at that point. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome you guys to the webinar. This is the webinar about ISG's Azure Cloud for iMIS. And in particular, we're going to talk about some details related to making the move into the cloud. So today I wanted to start by giving you a little background on ISG Solutions, LLC. My name is Philip Verity. I've been a consultant for ISG Solutions for coming up on 10 years now. And ISG Solutions has been an iMIS AISP for over 25 years. They've been hosting iMIS for over 15 years. And we have a 2-hour response time on our dedicated iMIS help desk. So that means that normal business hours, you can give us a call, and if you're having a problem with iMIS, we'll get back to you within 2 hours with our experts standing by. And one of the key benefits that we offer for those looking to host their iMIS system or looking for a new solution for hosting is that we are both iMIS experts and hosting experts under the same roof. So we've noticed in working with our clients over the years that a lot of times technical issues are a little ambiguous as to whether they're really related to a server or related to your iMIS system itself. So we are able to help eliminate that ambiguity from interfering with the problem-solving process, because in either case, we're going to be the ones to help you with that issue. So I want to talk a little bit about ISG's experience and how we decided to work with Microsoft Azure as our cloud partner. ISG has been watching the big cloud market for over a decade, trying to make sure we stay ahead of all the new trends. Cloud computing is not a brand new term anymore, but it is still the newer way to do hosting. And then in 2018, ISG's leaders determined that the Azure offering was going to be the best in the industry. And we took steps to commit to using Azure for our existing and new hosting business. So we determined by looking at all the options that Azure was going to allow us to deliver the best systems for iMIS customers. And we have been able to help many organizations improve their use of iMIS and their overall system performance by moving into the ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS. So there's some key benefits to working with ISG for your Azure Cloud hosting for your iMIS system. One of the most important benefits is security. You relieve your staff of the burden of managing and maintaining those iMIS servers. In particular, the compliances and other factors that go into setting up a server in a safe and secure way, those can be a lot of burden to a small IT team or even a one-person team working with a third-party IT support company. There's a lot of moving pieces, and it's very difficult to stay on top of your system. So when you host your iMIS system with the ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS, we take care of all of those setup and compliance related settings. So they're no longer within the scope of what you're responsible for your iMIS system. We take care of that for you. We also have a very convenient way to allow your iMIS staff to continue working in the way that they're used to working. If you have iMIS in your on-premise environment currently, your users might be used to having iMIS desktop on their actual computer. We were able to, with our Azure Cloud offering, deliver iMIS desktop using a remote app, which replicates that same experience for those iMIS desktop users. So that means if you host your iMIS system in ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS, We're going to deliver iMIS desktop in a way that your user doesn't have to hop to a server or use a different remote desktop terminal environment to do their work. They actually can run iMIS desktop from a shortcut on their Windows 10 computer. And as far as the user knows, they're just running iMIS. It's as if it's running on their own computer. In reality, when it's set up that way, it's running from our Azure cloud system, but the user is none the wiser, and it's a very convenient and familiar way for them to complete their iMIS work. Reliability is one of the key benefits to moving your system out of an in-house situation and into a big cloud or a hosting provider. You can rest easy knowing your application is always available. The ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS is monitored 24/7, 365. And that is not just the server resources like CPU, RAM, etc., but we actually monitor the URL for your public iMIS site to make sure that if anything is going wrong and that site is no longer available, we are notified right away so we can take whatever corrective action is needed, whether that is done on the server or the iMIS system. It doesn't really matter. We know your iMIS is key to your business, so we hop on that right away and fix whatever we need to fix. When we partnered with Azure, it allowed us to take advantage of top-tier computing technologies like SSDs and the Azure super high-speed backbone network. We'll go into a little bit more detail about that later on, but when we were working on premise, it was very challenging to stay ahead of all the new technical features that were becoming available in the market. Whereas when we partner with Azure, all of those are delivered through one platform, and as new technologies emerge, we're able to tap into those much more easily than trying to build our own cloud. We essentially determined that, okay, Microsoft is the experts at setting up all this new technology. We're going to lean on them for what they do best. We're going to come in with what we do best. We're the iMIS experts. So we combine our expertise with Azure's expertise and take advantage of those key performance improvements. And the last and possibly most important benefit is a cost savings. Most of the customers that we're working with have noticed that between the savings of eliminating on-premise systems or switching hosting providers from other options, we're usually able to reduce the bottom line. So that is always good. So I just talked about 5 key areas where ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS offers benefit to our customers. And I want to drill down a little bit more detail on each one of those. So first, I wanted to talk more about security and how Azure allows us to keep your iMIS system safe and up to date. So we have seen significant benefit from using ISG's Azure tools to manage security for iMIS environments. And in addition to the tools that are offered by Azure, there's a reimagined access configuration that allows you to do everything you need to do without accessing the iMIS server. So what that means is it's more secure just by nature of your team not needing to access the server. When we let them access it through the remote app desktop, you don't have the risk of somebody accidentally making a change to the server that's going to cause a problem. So less access always means better security. And with our new Azure cloud, we're able to allow your iMIS users to get in and do everything they need to do and nothing that they don't need to do to prevent unwanted changes that cause problems and accidents. So in addition to the access changes, we also have the ability to automatically receive the latest security and bug fixes from Microsoft. So when we move your system into ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS, we are constantly going to be monitoring it to make sure that it gets the latest security definitions from Microsoft. And any bug fixes, if they're applicable to your system, will be applied automatically. So again, that's not something that your team is responsible for. That's all included with our hosting offering. Antivirus definitions, the same way we deliver them through the Azure system. It happens automatically. We make sure that your antivirus definitions are constantly kept up to date. We follow industry best practices of the least access. So it's more secure to provide the least access, only the access that's needed. And that helps to protect our clients from accidental problems. One of the key benefits that we offer to our ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS clients is that we also review all of the new releases of the iMIS software that comes from the iMIS software developers. This is not something that you're going to find with any other hosting provider that's not an iMIS expert at the same time. Because really, there's no way that a non-iMIS expert would be able to know what the release information from iMIS software developer means. So one of the benefits with using our service is that you have both iMIS experts and server experts reviewing all of the info, whether it's a Microsoft update or an iMIS update. So you can get a holistic understanding of what those mean. And then once we review those updates that come out from the iMIS software developers, we'll help determine whether or not we should apply it to your system. If it's to a piece of iMIS that you're not using based on your organization's use of iMIS, then we're not going to apply it to your system. We really want to only apply hotfixes that make sense and are going to be beneficial and not cause other problems. And I want to reiterate that these iMIS updates are included with the ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS. So when you're working with us on our ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS, you get all the benefits of being in the cloud, wrapping together the server and hardware infrastructure, along with the ISP services and Microsoft software licensing into one package deal. So that prevents you from having to work with multiple vendors and try to reconcile the different offerings. I mentioned earlier, we have a technology called Remote App from Microsoft that allows us to return the iMIS desktop back to your desktop. So that makes it much more convenient for your users to access iMIS. So a little bit more info on the iMIS Remote App. I actually kind of already mentioned this, but iMIS is back on your desktop on your PC. We work with any third parties that you work with to ensure that they can have the access required to deliver their service as it connects to your iMIS. So whether you're working with a community provider like Higher Logic, or if you're possibly working with an LMS provider, a lot of times those different providers need access to the iMIS system in order to configure their solution. We have always been open to help our clients with any of those third-party connections that they need, and we continue to do that in the ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS. We provide the hosting for your Crystal reports so that you can easily run and save your reports from iMIS and then print them as you need to. We allow you to keep your SQL tools, triggers, and scripts. There are a lot of iMIS users who have developed over the years some methods in SQL Server to complete business operations. And then a lot of places we found are not allowing our customers to do that. And we do allow you to bring those SQL tools and techniques into the ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS. And any other customizations that you may have to your iMIS system, we'll work with you to support those. And lastly, of course, because iMIS has the GL export feature, we will work with you to connect to your accounting system and use that GL export and make sure that your accountant is able to import the transactions from iMIS into your accounting system. As of July earlier this year, Azure was boasting a 99.995% average uptime, which is pretty reliable. I think that ends up being about 5 minutes a year, if I remember correctly. That means that your system is always going to be available from the infrastructure standpoint. I mentioned earlier that the Microsoft updates are automatically applied and monitored. And from this kind of the perspective of big disaster recovery type of thinking, Azure has 54 dispersed data centers around the world. So within the interface of our Azure portal, we have the ability to move servers to any one of those 54 dispersed data centers. And as I also mentioned earlier, ISG is notified of any issues by the automated monitoring system, which runs around the clock and sends a note to our on-call team if needed. So that iMIS service is monitored by the non-Azure tool. That's what sends us the email if something's not right. If you notice that something's not working with your iMIS system and you're hosted in the ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS, you only have one team to call. You pick up the phone, you call ISG, and you say, hey, something's not right with my iMIS, and you tell us what it is, and we take it from there. It doesn't matter if it's an IT issue or an iMIS software issue. We will identify what it is, we will help you understand what needs to be done to correct it, and then we will assist with those corrective actions. We've been in the iMIS hosting business for 15 years, so we know that making iMIS reliable doesn't exactly mean the same as just making a server reliable. iMIS is a complex application, and we've seen issues where the server is just fine, but iMIS is not. So we can draw on that experience from hosting iMIS for the past 15 years when issues do arise to assist in our troubleshooting. And ISG guarantees a 99.9% uptime of your ISG Azure Cloud hosted iMIS system. So this is not saying that the server will always be on 99.9% of the time. That's a given. This is saying that your iMIS system will remain available 99.9% of the time, which is a pretty amazing guarantee at the application level. So we're pretty proud of that. I mentioned a bit earlier that partnering with a big cloud like Azure allows us to take advantage of the latest technologies. So solid-state hard drives are a technology that is similar to the classic hard drive with a spinning disk, only it's about 10 times faster because you don't have a spinning disk. You have solid RAM-type memory chips that are arranged in an array to provide your offline storage. And this, when you use this for your operating system and your application, it can really, really drastically improve the performance. So that's one of the things that allows customers who move into ISG Azure Cloud from iMIS to see the immediate performance improvement over their previous hosting is just going from spinning drives to solid state drives. Another big improvement is the internal networking speed. The iMIS architecture requires a separate SQL server from the application server. So there's going to be network communication between those two network objects, the SQL server and the iMIS server. And when you're on ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS, you're getting the Azure internal network's backbone speed of up to 10 gigabytes per second, which is really top tier internal network routing speed. So all of these contribute to why iMIS runs better on Azure than anywhere else. And of course, because Azure is in these huge data centers, they have, I think, 9 to 10 different ISPs, which are servicing those data centers at any given time, so that if there's a network outage somewhere upstream of the Microsoft Azure Hosting Center, there are other network providers standing by to service your traffic. In addition to being server experts, we're iMIS experts, which also means that we are SQL experts because iMIS uses a SQL database. So when you host your iMIS system in the ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS, you're also going to have the benefit of your iMIS being overseen by database management experts. So our database experts will work with our application team to optimize your iMIS system and change settings to improve performance. So through these methods, in addition to the platform of Azure with the benefits mentioned from an infrastructure standpoint, even heavily customized iMIS systems tend to perform a lot better on the Azure system. So just because if your system has got a lot of customizations, that doesn't mean that you can't take advantage and see great benefit from making the improvement and making the switch to ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS. And then, of course, this is what gets all of our bosses' attention, is the cost savings. And how do we cut costs? How do we make sure we're being efficient? Well, with the ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS, you get a predictable monthly cost. There is no additional cost to stay up to date on the latest hot fixes from iMIS and from Microsoft. We don't charge extra for storing backups or disaster recovery. We work with your team to maintain a test iMIS system that is appropriate for your needs. So let's say you have a robust iMIS Rise website along with your iMIS system, well, that website is a critical part of your life cycle of your association business. So we will, as part of your ISG Azure Cloud hosting for iMIS, we will include setting up and maintaining that test iMIS system. So if you have that full Rise website that does your whole business, well, that includes maintaining that system as well. So to recap, we are ISG Solutions, LLC. We've been an iMIS AISP for 25 years. We've partnered with Microsoft Azure for our ISG Azure Cloud for iMIS offering. And we believe that it is the best iMIS hosting option for security, convenience, reliability, performance, and cost savings. And remember, with us, you have your iMIS and hosting experts under one roof. So with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions that anyone may have. And if it's time to make the move, we would love to hear from you. Please send the email to sales@isgsolutions.com or give us a call on our main line, 301-519-3776. We would love to talk to you and answer any questions you may have. In the meantime, thank you very much for your time today. And we'll go ahead and conclude the webinar. We hope to hear from you soon, and we hope that you will take the time to attend one of our future webinars. Thank you very much.